Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the series. We are going to do something really exciting today. I think most of you know that Microsoft build has finished recently and Microsoft announced SQL Server 22. And in that build session, they introduced a couple of really great features that Microsoft is bringing into SQL Server 22, especially from the cloud perspective. And I do believe Microsoft realized that the next big thing or change that they can bring into SQL Server is integrating the analytical stack seamlessly within the SQL Server, because that's gonna shift the whole game. So we will see the features later on once we dig deeper into SQL Server 22. So, but today what we're gonna do as a first step, we're gonna install SQL Server 22 preview edition, and you're gonna find the link in the description so you can download for yourself and try all these features. The beauty is I think SQL Server 2022 is not available publicly on the Azure cloud, but you can download through the Microsoft site, and you can try all these features as a public preview. All you need to actually fill up the form, and then it will give you the link so you can download the installer. I'm going to place the link as well. I believe that that's not going to violate the conditions from Microsoft, but yeah, once you visit it, you're going to see if the form is there. You need to just fill up the form to register your interest in using SQL Server 22. And then you'll get the link. But I strongly believe the way I'm looking now with SQL Server, trust me that there's going to be a big player in the market, especially in the data space, to shifting from tradition to the modern platform, which covers not only the traditional database operations as well as the analytics. And analytics is not limit up to the data warehousing and historical data, or even some really big data marts. It's more like way beyond that now. Like we are talking about the unstructured data, whether it's going to be the JSON, Parquet, CSVs, audio, video file, all these sort of things that's gonna now come into the play, because SQL Server 22 is deeply integrated with this Synapse, and Synapse, you know that Synapse is able to run all sort of analytic on the massive parallel processing architecture, and it has the capabilities to talk to the data lake, which can be used to store all sort of data on it. And we have the power on the Synapse side that we can process that storage. So that's another side of the big data world. The best part, Microsoft is now integrating within the SQL Server. So instead of, we have SQL separately as a service and analytics separately, once they merge together, it's going to be a very nice and, single stack of platform where we can use all these technologies seamlessly. Second thing, and other great feature which I was expecting for a long time, Microsoft is going to integrate the governance within the SQL Server. So imagine, like, you have seen the Purview, and if you haven't seen the Purview, I'm going to actually put the link of my LinkedIn profile. I put some article on the Purview. Beautiful tool for the data governance for your organization, that really crawl all the assets on your platform and generate the information for the business to fill it up. So that information is normally called metadata, or some tag information, or it classify the field based on the crawling operation. And you can even have the opportunity to tag the information, whether it's going to be sensitive information like the customer information, employee information. It's going to be a generic information that anyone can read out. All these things Microsoft have invested a lot of money and resources to build that product, and that product is not cheap, tell you the truth, but the power is amazing. Like you can use Purview to crawl all kind of data sources. Like you can crawl the SQL Server databases, you can crawl the big data databases, whether it's going to be built-in or serverless, and you can even crawl the Power BI stack, which is you can imagine all these dashboards which are sitting within the Power BI. Purview can actually extract all the data sources and generate the data lineage, like where the data is coming from, the full life cycle of the data running behind the Power BI. So that these features are really amazing, especially in terms of establishing the data practices and converting an organization into a data-driven organization. And obviously, it requires a lot of energy and a lot of dedication and seriousness if we really want to turn our organization into data-driven organization. Secondly, all these things they are the big contributor into the data strategy of the enterprise, because these things really drive the data strategy or enterprise data strategy, and it will help the organization to achieve their strategic goal, which are linked with the data. So if, just imagine all these things in your mind, but obviously that I know that's too much for one video. We're gonna divide them, and over the time we're gonna actually discuss all these topics in their separate video. But what we're gonna do today is something really interesting. We're gonna install SQL Server 22. I'm really installing it live for the first time. We might see some errors or some issues. We're gonna fix in between, but let's run the show. So I've already prepared the server. The beauty is, like you can see, I have the Oracle VirtualBox, and I have introduced the Oracle VirtualBox previously in one of my videos. If you want, you can go and you can check there. We have already evaluation 2019 edition, which I'm running on the virtual machine on my system, and I've already downloaded the preview edition. And like I mentioned with 2019, I have downloaded the full ISO file, because normally once you download from Microsoft side, it will give you a very lean version of the installer. So you have to run on your machine, and then you need to decide whether you are going to directly install while you are you are going to download while you are installing, or you just want to go with a minimum option, or you want to download the full installer before you can install the SQL Server on machine. So as usual, I have actually used the third option. I downloaded the full installer, and I'm going to show it to you, which is obviously the ISO file. You might need to be patient because I'm running virtual machine with so many other things running on my computer. So you can see. So I have actually downloaded it, and like I mentioned, I'm going to put the link so you can download it by yourself. So that's the evaluation file that you're going to get from Microsoft side. But once you run it, and I think there is no harm if I actually run it now, to just show it to you. It's just a refresher. We have already discussed once we installed SQL Server 2019 on our machine. So you can even watch that video if you want to see in detail. So you can see we have the evaluation edition, CTP, basic, custom, and download media. So I use download media because I'm going to run the installer by myself, and I'm going to actually do a full fledged installation, and we will select the features if they are available as part of the evaluation edition. Otherwise, we'll see how we can get those features, which I have just discussed. Obviously, Synapse and the Purview, they both are Azure based. So if they are not available directly in the installer, I'll try to find out the way that we can use them with 2022. By saying it, let me close this one. Yeah, I want to close it. I've already mounted my ISO with my drive, and now I'm going to run it. Then admin. So the installer is kicking in. You can see I've allocated 10 gig to the installer, which is, I would say, reasonable memory for the evaluation edition. But obviously our dev environment and production environments are going to be very different. And I've already discussed that architecture requirement in the previous video. Please watch that if you are interested, because it's a completely sandbox environment. So I'm fine with 10 gig. We are going to, so you can see the installer looks quite similar as of 2019. There's not much difference. And like I discussed, we have management tool, data tools, and reporting services. So let me click on the 2022. You can see Microsoft mention everywhere CTP. So that means that's the public preview. It's not the actual edition. So we are evaluations. Let's use the evaluation because obviously we are going to use the evaluation, and it will give us the evaluation period of 6 months, which I believe is enough for us. Yeah, I accept all the licenses and terms. I don't have any option actually. So hit next. And the installer looks quite similar up to now. Like if you remember 2019, the options are quite similar. Yeah, so I'll let Microsoft to check the updates. Although the updates are not going to be quite relevant until unless we have the full-fledged working version. Yeah, so all good except the firewall, which we are fine. We don't need to worry about the firewall. Yeah, there we go. All right. So looking for reporting service, I think that that's something Microsoft has got complaint about. People are asking where that reporting service has gone, because if you remember, I think the installer up to 2017, the SQL Server reporting service was included in the installer, but now Microsoft has split it out from the main installer for some reason. I don't know, but that definitely we can check with Microsoft licensing team or what's the reason. But now they are also mentioning that we can download it from the web. So I'll click on, even though you know what I can do. Let me click on it. So let me see if I can. And you can see by default it is because I'm running admin, so I think I'm good. I don't need. The browser is no longer supported. Thanks Microsoft for letting me know what I can do. Oof. Let me copy it out. That's all I need. Let me put it into the notepad because I'm gonna download each later on, and I can. All right, I can then download the reporting service installer. By the way, we have already installed the reporting services in another video. If you are interested, you can see it. So now coming back to the features, we have obviously the database engine, and that database engine has new capabilities. Obviously, those capabilities we're gonna see what's new in SQL Server 22. So we'll see how we can use those new features. All right, machine learning services and language extension. I believe Microsoft is adding more and more. Let me try. Last time it got failed, but let me try if I can manage to install it. Full text, we are not going to data quality services. We are going to use it. Poly-based query cell for external data, very powerful feature. I'm not sure that whether we are able to install it. Analysis services, I'm going to install it because I want to see what it's offering in this release. Then we have the shared feature integration services. Obviously, we are going to be interested because integration services, keep in mind that the SSIS stack is still very powerful, although I know Microsoft invest a lot into the Azure Data Factory, and that is gaining a lot of popularity beside Databricks. But obviously, people are still relying a lot on the integration services. And the beauty is you can export and import your packages into the Azure Data Factory. So we can combine these two with the Databricks to build a really powerful data pipelines. Master data service is my favorite, and please check other videos for regarding the master data services, because master data services is playing such a critical role in implementing the data oriented processes and the governance. And I have already explained it into a couple of other videos. So I think we are all good. It's not going to install Management Studio, but we can install it later. No new feature, but I believe we're gonna have integration with Synapse and Purview separately. So we'll see how we can do it in the future video, but let's install 2022. So that's good, no errors so far. And then we are going to have so I think I can live with the default ports because it's a sandbox environment. But in the production, you normally check this information with your infrastructure team so they can actually specify which ports are available for consume, because obviously that's where we need our infrastructure input. We are not going to use those ports which are already used by other application. Otherwise, we're going to face some failure. Happy with the port. Yeah, like I mentioned in my previous video, we are using sandbox environment. So we are building the sandbox environment. So we are not concerned about the security, but theoretically in our dev environment or staging environment or even production environment, we normally use Active Directory accounts with proper permission set, because these Active Directory account, we can control the permission, and that is very, very critical. Keep in mind, guys, never ever use the default service account. It will create a lot of loopholes into your installation, especially in the production. Always use the service accounts which are properly configured and have the permission set it up on the server. Yeah, we can live with the default collation until unless you have a different requirement. You can change it, but I think these two are the most commonly used. So I think we are pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to use mix mode. By the way, we are setting the password for SA account, which is the default account. And normally as a security practice, we always disable this account. So it hasn't been used from the attack perspective. You know, the hacker or people who try to hack the server, they normally try this account to attack on the SQL server. So normally we disable this account. And even if we need to create the SQL Server system administration account using the SQL authentication, we use some different account instead of SA as a good security practice. I'm going to add my current user as a SQL Server admin account, because this is the administration account. Data directories, we can see, yeah, we are happy with the default paths. Temp DBs, yeah, I think number of files, we can live with that. We don't have any problem with the options. LDF, page size, we can change that, but I think in this case, max DOP, we don't need to change, and default 0. But what I'm going to do, because that's where, most of the people, especially in the production environment, in my experience, I have seen people even leave that to default, which allows SQL Server to consume the full memory, and even sometime it's not even leave any chunk remaining. So I think the best practice to always limit the memory. So for example, even you can allocate up to 90% of the memory. So if I have, for example, 10 gig available on my system, so what I'm going to do, I can let SQL consume, let's say, 90% of the memory for its operation. But obviously, I need 1 gig always remain for operating system to do its job. So I'm going to limit it to 9216. That SQL won't go beyond this memory. But obviously, in your production, you can change that limit based on the workload or on the requirement. That really vary from case to case. Okay, what is saying? Feel okay to close the config. Yeah, configuration. Oh, sorry, I didn't click on the checkbox. So I think require Azure Service Principal Require service principal secret now. So I think that's where it is trying to connect. Require subscription ID. I don't have at the moment, but I can change it. So let me see. Yeah. Now that step so in here I need to provide information regarding Azure, which I haven't actually configured yet for this server. So what I can do, let's see if I can go back or I can skip that. No, it won't allow me because I know, because we have to provide all the information, and that's where it's going to actually link our SQL Server to our Azure, our Azure server, Azure services, which requires some additional configuration. So what I'm going to do at this stage, you can leverage your services. I'm not interested to do it. So what I can do, let me go back. I think I just need to take out some of the services which I believe are trying to connect to. Analysis service. So I'm just going to take this one because I'm not going to connect to Azure at this stage, but later on, once we have the Azure account set it up, I'm going to come back and I'm going to install it. Hopefully it won't complain it. So let me see. And like I mentioned, that's the first time I'm installing by myself on live recording. So I'm quite excited as well. So some of the features obviously gonna come to me as a new feature. So bear with me. I think we are pretty close to installing the SQL Server 22. The options are all good. Yeah, we are not going to change. Yeah, where we pass through that stage. I'm going to use the tabular model. We are not using the multidimensional and PowerPoint, and I'm going to add my current user as a admin of the analysis services cube. One thing keep in mind, this particular tabular model that's very popular because Microsoft is investing on the tabular. They are trying to retiring multidimensional, and I tell you the truth, underneath they are converting whatever you are running on the tabular, that is converted into the multidimensional model and then execute on the analysis services engine. Azure Analysis Services, which is available as part of the Azure service, that is also based on the tabular model, because tabular is more like similar to the Power Pivot, which is one of the great feature of Power BI for building the analytical cubes, or or generating the measures at the Power BI, where you're gonna use obviously DAX, and DAX is a language of tabular analysis model. So you can see it's not a single service, or it's a small, itself is a full world of the features that we need to adhere if you want to implement into any enterprise. So looks like we are good. Excellent. So as usual, I always try to keep the configuration saved as a copy on my system, so later on I can visit and I can find out if I need to check any details as a reference later on what I have selected. So I'm going to create config folder. And we are ready. So let me hit install, and I do believe it's gonna start installing. I'm not gonna hold you for the installation process. I know it's gonna take some time. So grab your coffee or tea and then come back. I'm gonna stop and we'll come back as soon as the installation process is gonna be finished. All right, so you can see the SQL Server has 2022, has been installed successfully. There is no issue. All the services are good, up and running. So I think we are good to proceed with the next step. So let me close this. And now what I need to copy the SQL Server Management. Fortunately, I've already downloaded it, so I'm just gonna use that version. I'm not going to, you can even, if you don't have, you can go and you can click on that link and you can download it. But what I'm gonna do, I have already downloaded it, so I'm gonna use the existing installer. So let me quickly copy my SSMS. By the way, SSMS is pronounced as SQL Server Management Studio. If you don't know about it, because that will help me to connect to my database engine, and we can look at the 2022. And by the way, very soon we're gonna see a lot of excitement, a lot of new things within the cloud environment. So imagine one SQL Server 22 is gonna be available in Azure. All these features which I've discussed in the start of this video, they're gonna natively available and deeply integrated with SQL Server 22. So you don't need to do all these sort of configuration. Everything will come as an out of the box because Microsoft is managing for you. So imagine how exciting it is that you don't need to wait for your infrastructure team or the IT guys to do it for you. All you need to spin up these Azure SQL, and it is already integrated with Purview and the Synapse analytics. So you can with one interface you can work with multiple technology stack, which is obviously quite exciting. So I have copied Management Studio. Now I'm going to, so let me close this installer. I'm not going to remain it open. I'm going to install now Management Studio. Yeah, Management Studio with Data Studio. I'm good with the default option. I'm going to install it on C drive. So it's loading the packages, hopefully. And if you can look into it, that we have 18.9.1, you can go and you can download the latest version, but I would prefer to use the one which I know I've already used, and that is stable, because I have seen at random instance that sometime Management Studio got failed due to some factors, like it's not compatible with the images that has been installed on our machine. And I'm talking from the corporate perspective, because nowadays, once you join any corporate or any enterprise, they have their custom images that have all these operating system with this security feature installed, and they deploy those images on your machine. So it's not like a plain operating system. So sometimes SQL Server Management Studio gives some trouble. So that's why I'm very particular with the version. And obviously, once I installed it, after some time, it's going to actually detect, okay, there is a new version available, and we can go and we can install the new version. So no problem into that, but at least that will help us to use the stable version of the SQL Server Management Studio, and we have the opportunity to upgrade it. By the way, by saying it, let me see if I can find the latest version. SQL Server Management Studio. Yeah. Hopefully it won't take much time. You can see it is installing. So the latest one is 18.11. Keep in mind, I have the I think 19.2 and 11.1 is the latest one, and you can even go and I can upgrade to 18.11, no problem on that, right? But like I mentioned, I already downloaded one installer, so that should be suffice for me at this stage. And we'll see if we have any new feature. We can download the latest version or upgrade the existing one and use it. We are pretty close with the installation. Yeah, it's going good. I think you can see it is installing the component that has been required. And one thing was, which is the best part of the SQL Server Management Studio, beside Visual Code now and Azure Data Explorer, the power of Real Studio that it provides you a lot of design query capabilities, and it has all the additional services like you can connect to analysis services, because I've just seen it on the screen, so I thought it would be better to discuss it. You can actually connect to your integration services if you want to see the existing running packages or store packages. So all these things you can literally use into the management studio. And by the way, you still have your command interface. You can connect through PowerShell, and you can connect to SQL CMD to connect to your instance, and you can use the command shell if you want to, right? But I think most of the time we normally connect through the management studio. We normally won't install it on our production boxes, but we install on a client machine, and we use the admin credential to connect it. And obviously that is more like the DBAs or the DevOps team or infrastructure team who have these capabilities. Normally the data engineers and developers and data scientists, they remain up to the UAT or staging area as a best practice. So we prepare everything and we hand over our infrastructure team, and they are the responsible to run these scripts into the production environment. And it really depends from company to company, what kind of company you are working in or what kind of processes you have. But if you don't have any process, let me put this way, that you should restrict yourself. If you are wearing the dev hat or data engineering hat, you should restrict yourself up to the dev or staging environment. Dev or data engineer shouldn't release anything into the production that is not aligned with the policies. And obviously auditing or auditors gonna actually create trouble for us if they find out the devs are releasing things into the production. By saying it, coming back to the installation process, I think we are pretty good with the installation. So I think we have the management studio installed. Let me just minimize and let's spin up the SQL Server. You can see it has installed Azure Data Studio, and I do believe it has the SQL Server Management Studio installed as well. Like I mentioned, I prefer to run it as an admin, but because we are running the admin account, that's why I didn't ask for it. But if you are using a normal account, so then it will ask the admin credential, or sometimes just ask whether you want to run it or not. But in this instance, I believe we are good. In a moment, you're gonna see the beautiful window of SQL Server Management Studio. Yes, we are going to, and I do believe C. So it immediately detects the version is outdated. So it is asking us to upgrade the Real Studio, SQL Server Management Studio, which I think I can download and I can upgrade. So, but before that, let me hit connect. So you can see it has seen the installed version is 15.0.18 and 15.0.184. So that's Microsoft own system that is going to detect, right? So I'm not going to update it this way because I want to first check a couple of capabilities. So let me close, then I'll come back to it later. And like, normally it won't open, but if you want to see the details, I know many people, they use the Object Explorer for all kind of object management and usage, but sometimes the right window is very helpful, which always show you the details. So I think we are pretty good. These three are, I do believe, related to Polybase. So we're gonna discuss it separately. But let me see the security. Yeah, we are good in here. And let me just start the SQL agent job. You can see SQL agent is disabled. Sorry, it is not started by default. Later on, we can actually put it in auto start mode like the database engine service, because SQL Server agent is responsible to execute all the jobs that we're going to create. Excellent. So I think we are pretty good. I can, you know what I'm going to do? Let me just grab the sample database and I'm going to restore it so we can even run one of the database as well. Let me find out where I can. Okay. I think I know where it could be. To be. I think I need to find out where I have actually placed my work, especially the databases which we have stored in the past. So just bear with me while I'm finding out where my previous work is. It must be. Okay, I got the location. So what I'm going to do, it was in here. Yeah, I was looking at the we have work, and let me just copy one or two. So what I'm going to do is let me just restore this database, this famous sample database, which most of the time we use it. So I'm just going to create a folder db backups. Small light database, but that will help us to run a couple of queries so we can check the installation of the SQL Server. Backups. And I do believe during the restore process, it's going to upgrade to 2022 because that is 2019 version, right? So like I mentioned previously, I would prefer to run it through the scripting because it will help us to understand the T-SQL language or the SQL language, and that will definitely help us while we are writing our own scripting into Management Studio. So the command is restore database on the default location. It already picked up where it's going to place the log file and the data file, which I'm good. And let me hit execute. So let me show it to you. I know the restore process is quite quick and we are almost done. Now it's going to, so now you can see it's going to upgrade. So you can see that that's the difference. Whenever you restore from the old version to the new version, so after restoring the database, SQL Server run the upgrade process to make sure all the database pages, they are compatible with the new version, and obviously all the objects within the database which are compatible. So the process has been finished, and as usual, SQL Server Management Studio had a bug that it won't show you until unless you right click and you refresh. So after refreshing, you can see we have that ready for the show. Let me just take it out. I don't need policy health. I want to see the row count. So let me run the biggest table, which only have 121,000 records. And there we go, guys. We have SQL Server 22 installed and in action in front of us. Obviously, over the time, we're gonna test all the new features that Microsoft has released as part of 2022. But that's the process to install the SQL Server 22. And I would encourage everyone, because I think SQL Server 22 will be available by the end of this year, but you have full opportunity to get and install it and start playing with it, because that will really help you to understand the new feature. And obviously, once we're gonna have the cloud version, we can see how the Synapse and the Purview is integrated from the big analytics and the governance perspective. So thanks for watching this video. As usual, if you like it, please hit the like, or if you have any question, put it in the comments. More than happy to answer. Otherwise, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.